So let's get started with that. What do you at Frenzy term as the invisible backpack? What is it? Can you describe it for our listeners and for me?
Yeah, I think I have actually no idea where the concept of invisible backpack came from. It's not something I thought up, but it is a kind of an analogy or a symbol that we talk about at Frenzy and talk about with educators. And really, what the invisible backpack is this idea that students they cross the threshold of classrooms every day and they carry backpacks. And in those backpacks, we know that they pack their lunches and their binders and books and pencils. And we expect those things to be unloaded in the classrooms. But our students also carry invisible things in that backpack. They have invisible backpacks that they are carrying, and some students have heavier invisible backpacks than others. And when we talk about the invisible backpack, what we're really meaning is, what are all the things that they have experienced outside of the classroom hours? What do they go home to at 3 p.m.? What did they experience from 6:30 until 7:45 or 8:15 when they walk into the classroom? What are the hurts, the pain, the sadness, the struggles, the stress that those students are carrying? And oftentimes those are the invisible things that are heavier than the books and the binders and the pencils. And those invisible things are really important because they actually become barriers to education. They block often the ability for students to focus. They block the ability for students to feel calm and happy in the classroom. And actually, those invisible things can activate and aggravate emotional responses that have nothing to do with math facts or reading. And yet our teachers are seeing it. And so when we talk about the invisible backpack, it's really important to always think about that as educators, because our goal is to create environments where academics can happen, where kids can flourish, where we are treating, seeing, loving, caring, knowing the whole child that walks through the doors. And so in order to do that, we actually have to understand that they're carrying more than books and pencils in. And we can do that by looking neurologically at what they're showing up with, and then learning how to respond to the way that they are acting. Whitney, anything else that kind of comes to mind when we think about the invisible backpack?
Yeah, when I think back to when I was in graduate school, we talked a lot about how, as caring educators in the counseling space, we could imagine the same idea where if our students are carrying, those kinds of traumas or things you're talking about, Julie, we can help to lift a strap for them in our
Oh,
support
I
for
love
them.
it.
And so that was an analogy that we used a lot in my counseling program, where we're not taking the whole load from them. We can't do that. But what we
Mhm.
can do is we can walk alongside our students, and because we know those students who feel stressed, worried, lonely, sad, hurt are not able to learn at their fullest potential. And so if we can help carry some of that burden with them, we're going to help them be able to better succeed. And so that's really the heartbeat of what I think this conversation's about.
Yeah,
Well,
just offering to hold a strap could really provide some help for a student, and it actually immediately tells that student who feels unseen or unnoticed, I see you.
Yeah.
And really, what we don't want to do in this conversation is tell the educator, you've got one more big responsibility to do, right? We don't want to suggest that they have to fix the problem. But walking alongside of someone is just this beautiful picture of what we're called to do as believers. We are called to carry and the load, or walk along the burden of others. And really, what we know about students with high trauma, high ACE scores, adverse childhood experiences, is that it only takes one caring adult in the life of a student with a high ACE score to change and affect the trajectory of that student's life. And so if you think about it, those ACE scores, those students with high emotional, psychological, or physical trauma, those students actually just need one adult, one caring adult to say, I see you, I care about you, you matter, you belong here in our school. And that has a profound profound effect. And normally when we talk to educators, these are not big things that they do to carry a strap. They're just small things that they do to carry that strap or walk alongside. Thanks, Whitney, for pointing that out. I appreciate it.
Well, and I really appreciate you both talking about that because I think so much as educators, we try to go in thinking we have to fix that problem. And
Mhm.
when you take on the mindset of you're not going to be able to do that, but helping in by doing these little things and lifting that one strap for the student is really impactful for educators.
Yeah. And Jessica, one thing that is really important to remember is that educators' stress is real too. They have also experienced stress and trauma of, I mean, how often do we say unprecedented in the last 3 years, right? Like
Yeah.
unprecedented levels and like too much. There was a point where I said, I don't want to hear that anymore, you know? But the reality is that even prior to 2020, teachers were in the most stressful job next to ER nurses. And so here we have this petri dish of life in our classrooms, and we have kids showing up with stress and trauma, and then we have teachers who at Yale study, they actually asked teachers in 2020, what are 5 words that you would use to describe your educational experience right now? And 5,000 teachers answered anxious, fearful, worried, sad. And so we have this storm of emotions, right, in our academics and in our classrooms of students showing up with extra stress, low ability. They miss some teaching and some social experiences that have created some unique environments. And then we have teachers who are feeling worn out, weary, and stressed as well. And so what we can do by understanding neurological symptoms is that we can actually say, okay, teachers, you're stressed and worried, but how you react, how you respond matters. And you can actually co regulate, you can create calm, you can create support in a classroom so that at the end of the day, your approach matters. And then you're going to do better if you approach it in a way that is positive. And that's the why behind it.